Flash council tax shakeup, the Treasury's new property tax plans. Before we dive into what could be the most significant shakeup to council tax since its introduction, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you won't want to miss what's coming next for UK politics. Right, let's get into it. Your council tax bill might be about to get considerably more expensive. And no, this isn't another April Fool's joke from Westminster. Thousands of homeowners across England are staring down the barrel of higher bills as Rachel Reeves and a Treasury team quietly explore plans to introduce new council tax bans specifically designed to target expensive properties. This isn't speculation or political theater. This is happening right now, being discussed in the corridors of power as we speak, and the implications are rather extraordinary when you actually stop to consider what's being proposed here. The Chancellor is in a bind, make no mistake about it. Labour made crystal clear promises during the election campaign that they wouldn't increase the tax burden on working people. Reeves herself stood up and said those exact words. They don't want to see taxes rise on ordinary families. Well, here's the thing about political promises. They're remarkably flexible when reality comes knocking at number 11's door. Instead of a full revaluation of every property in England, something that would be politically catastrophic and administratively nightmarish, officials are examining a far more surgical approach. Add new bans at the top end of the scale. Squeeze the wealthy homeowners. Claim you're making those with the broadest shoulders carry more of the burden. And hey presto, you've got yourself additional revenue without technically breaking your manifesto pledge. Clever, isn't it? Almost too clever by half. Let's talk about the current system because it's genuinely bonkers when you examine it properly. Council tax bans in England haven't been revalued since 1991. Think about that for a moment. 1991. John Major was Prime Minister. The Soviet Union still existed. The Internet was barely a thing. And we're still using property valuation from that era to determine how much you pay in local taxation today. It's absolutely mad. The highest ban right now, Band H, covers everything above £320,000 based on 1991 values. According to Nationwide's House Price Index, that same property will be worth approximately £1.6 million today. In London, try £2.1 million. So you've got someone living in a modest 3-bedroom semi in outer London paying the same council tax rate as someone in a sprawling mansion in Mayfair, simply because both properties happen to fall into Band H based on valuations from over 3 decades ago. The unfairness is staggering when you look at the numbers. Wandsworth, one of London's most expensive boroughs, has average house prices around £756,000, yet residents pay some of the lowest council tax rates in the entire country. Band D households, they shell out roughly £998 a year. Meanwhile, head up to Rutland in the East Midlands, where average house prices sit around £434,000, and Band D households are paying £2,671 annually. That's nearly 3 times as much for a property worth almost half the value. Try explaining that to someone with a straight face. The Institute for Fiscal Studies, hardly a radical organization, has called the current system outdated and argued it must be revised based on contemporary house prices. They are right, obviously, but nobody wants to be the government that opens that particular Pandora's box. Wales, interestingly enough, has already ventured down this path. They introduced an additional top ban back in 2005 for properties exceeding £424,000 in their 2003 valuations. The sky didn't fall. There were no riots in Cardiff. Life went on, and now Wales is planning a full revaluation in 2028. They are being brave about it, or perhaps foolish, depending on your perspective. But England? England is taking the cautious route, the politically expedient route, the let's just bend it to at the top and hope nobody notices route. David Fell from Hampton's estate agency describes this elective approach as potentially one of the fairer and least disruptive property tax reform ideas floated so far. He is not wrong in the sense that targeting only the most expensive properties would affect a relatively small percentage of homeowners. London and the southeast would bear the brunt, naturally, because that's where property values have gone absolutely stratospheric over the past 3 decades. A house that was worth $350,000 in 1991 might now be valued at several million. The wealth accumulation through property appreciation in these areas has been extraordinary, and yes, one could argue that homeowners who've benefited from this windfall should contribute more to public finances. But here's where it gets tricky. Many of these homeowners, particularly older residents who've lived in their properties for decades, are asset-rich but cash-poor. Their house might be worth $2 million, but they are living on a pension. Higher council tax bills could force some to sell homes they've occupied for 40 years simply because they can't afford the annual levy. This brings us to the political calculation Reeves is making. She needs money, lots of it, to fund public services and fulfill Labor's ambitious spending pledges. But she's boxed in by her own promises about not raising taxes on working people. So she's looking for revenue streams that can be framed as targeting the wealthy, the privileged, those with broad shoulders who can afford to pay more. It's classic Labor positioning, really, and it plays well with the base. Who's going to shed tears for someone with a £2 million house having to pay an extra £1,000 a year in council tax? Not many people, that's for sure. The politics of envy might be unedifying, but it's remarkably effective when you're trying to raise taxes without a popular backlash. But let's not pretend this is purely about fairness or fixing a broken system. This is about finding money without calling it a tax rise on ordinary people. It's about political survival and fiscal necessity dressed up in the language of progressive taxation. The Treasury spokesman's carefully crafted statement about striking the right balance between funding public services and promoting growth is a kind of bureaucratic wordsmithing that means everything and nothing simultaneously. What they're actually saying is we need more money, we're going to take it from people who probably won't riot about it, and we're going to present it as a moral imperative rather than a desperate scramble for revenue. The timing here is crucial as well. This is being explored ahead of the autumn budget, which means Reeves is testing the waters, floating the idea through carefully placed newspaper reports to gauge public reaction before committing to anything concrete. It's the classic British approach to controversial policy: leak it first, see how people respond, adjust accordingly, then announce it officially with all the necessary caveats and justifications. If there's massive pushback, they can quietly shell the idea and claim it was never seriously considered. If the reaction is muted or even supportive, they can proceed with confidence knowing they won't face an electoral rebellion.